You're watching Idaho's News Channel 7. This is Wake Up Idaho.
Good Wednesday morning and welcome to Wake Up Idaho. I'm sure a lot of you have been up most of the night waiting for election results, and you know what? We still don't have them. But there is a lot to cover this morning locally and nationally, and we're going to get to that right now. We have results running at the bottom of your screen throughout the morning if you'd like to check that. You can also go to KTVB.com. Let's check in, though, with where both presidential candidates stand right now, because that's what we're waiting for, Doug. So how many electoral votes do Biden and Trump each have at this hour?
And we'll get to that in just 1 second. But first, just a quick look at the popular vote right now. Former Vice President Joe Biden leading in the popular vote by about 2.3 million votes over President Donald Trump. Now, if you look at those electoral votes that you mentioned, right now we have Joe Biden with 238 electoral votes, with President Trump having 213. There are still several states still in play this morning, including Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Nevada, and Alaska. There is a discrepancy here. NBC right now is reporting 224 Biden electoral votes, but we're going with 238 for this exercise this morning. Now, if we look at the path that President Trump needs to get to 270 electoral votes, with those states still in play. Right now, Pennsylvania is the one leaning most heavily in his direction, but those votes may not be counted until Friday. But if you add those to his tally, that brings him up to 233. Michigan and Wisconsin, which he won last time, are still in play as well. Michigan does expect to have results later on today, but if you put those into his tally, now he is up to 259. He would still need one of the southern states, North Carolina or Georgia, to get him over 270. For Joe Biden, looking at his, let me clear this one first here. And now we'll get to Joe Biden. Now, for his path, it's going to be a little bit different based on that 238 number, ruling out Pennsylvania right now just because it's leaning Trump's way. He would take Wisconsin, which is leaning Biden, and Michigan to 264, and then for him also one of the southern states, or even just Nevada, which hasn't been called yet. Its 6 delegates going to Biden would put him at 270. Now, in Idaho, President Trump won going away with 554,000 votes to Biden's 286,000. And there you have the other 3 candidates, including rapper Kanye West with 3,600 votes. Maggie, we'll have more on our local races coming up.
3,600 votes for Kanye here in Idaho. Okay, 1% of the vote. Well, we're going to have a lot more on that coming up. A long election night has turned into a confusing and contested morning. We know it could be days now before all of the votes are counted. But both President Trump and Joe Biden are predicting a victory. From the White House, President Trump suggesting the race is over and that he's won it, and is promising a legal challenge to what he's described as, quote, fraud in the election process. In the meantime, from Wilmington, Delaware, Joe Biden telling voters to be patient. Let the votes be counted. Let's check in with our Tracy Potts for the latest on both of the candidates.
Election results still uncertain the morning after.
This is a fraud on the American public. This is an embarrassment to our country. We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election.
But millions of votes are still being counted this morning in key states: Arizona, North Carolina, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. The president falsely claiming victory in states yet to be called.
They're never going to catch us. They can't catch us.
Earlier, Joe Biden urged supporters to be patient.
We're on track to win this election. We're going to have to be patient until the hard work of tallying the votes is finished. And it ain't over till every vote is counted. Every ballot is counted.
Hundreds remained in line in Pennsylvania after polls closed. Around the country, fears of unrest. A removed Trump banner floating over crowds demonstrating at Black Lives Matter Plaza near the White House. Arrests in North Carolina when a political march turned violent. The National Guard on standby in Chicago and Philadelphia. Businesses boarded up.
Political violence will not be tolerated.
America bracing for the worst with the people's choice still unknown. Tracy Potts, NBC News, Wilmington, Delaware.
And we have a lot of election news to cover in the next hour. We will do that for you. First, though, let's take a look at the weather and see what's happening with that today. Larry, what do you have in store?
Actually, mild conditions. We were pretty mild yesterday. We got to 68 degrees yesterday. That was close to a record, within about 4 degrees. The old record was 72 from 1917. Now we're talking about that's in the Boise area. Temperatures in the 40s. Still 49 degrees in Twin Falls this morning. And also a lot of calm winds. Now, where we do have winds, of course, those wind chill factors make everything feel a bit colder. If you have to be outside, dress warmly. 67 degrees for your daytime high today, so very close to what we had yesterday. And we're going to be seeing that next system coming through, but not on Friday. It's coming through on Saturday. It's been delayed almost 24 hours. So we're going to give you the details and the timing on that coming up in just a moment.
Okay, thanks, Larry. Now back to our election coverage nationally. NBC News projecting that Democrats will maintain control of the U.S. House of Representatives. The Democrats came into Election Day heavily favored to keep control of the chamber. In the 2018 midterm election, Democrats flipped control of the House by gaining 40 seats. During the 2020 race, they largely focused their campaigns on protecting the Affordable Care Act and efforts to combat coronavirus. Republicans focused on the economy mainly. Again, it looks like Democrats will keep control of the House. So, Doug, let's take a look at how the Senate is looking today.
We don't know who's going to control the Senate just yet because there are 7 seats that are still in play with races too soon or too early to call. Right now, though, it does stand with the Republicans with a 47 to 46 advantage. 7 seats still to play, 2 in Georgia, 1 a Democrat, 1 a Republican, also North Carolina, Michigan, Arizona, and Maine. So that's where that stands right now. Now, in the Idaho Senate race, Idaho is holding its seat in the red category. Idaho Senator Republican Jim Risch has won a third 6-year term, that is, in the Senate with a big win, 63% over challenger Paulette Jordan, who had 33%. And Risch won with, as I mentioned, that 63% of the vote. We caught up with him, the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, last night after the race was called. He said he is humbled by Idahoans entrusting him with another term and talked about what he's focusing on next.
Look, we're all Americans. We've had a robust election. There was a lot of debate. The ads were run. They urged everybody to vote. Voting is at an all-time high in Idaho and around the country. As Americans, we need to turn the page and we need to move forward. The first thing we got to address is there's more work to be done on the coronavirus challenge that we have right now. And then once that's behind us, we got a lot of things to do. Obviously, at the top of my list, as you know, has been China for some time, and it's a bipartisan effort, and we're going to take a run at that.
Shortly after the race was called, Democrat Paulette Jordan released a statement saying, in part, "Signing up to fight a battle in which you're outnumbered and outgunned is courage and it's leadership. We did that. Fighting with everything on your side, that's not courage. Thank you for this incredible honor. My 2 sons, my family, my staff, our volunteers, our friends. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for bringing your light to this cause, taking action to see new leadership to correct the course." Moving over to the races in the U.S. House right now, Republican Representative Russ Fulcher also retained his seat in Congress for Idaho's 1st District. He won his second 2-year term with 68% of the vote, 310,000 votes he garnered in the 1st District, which runs basically all along the left side of the state of Idaho. His challenger, Democrat Rudy Soto from Nampa, got 131,000 votes for 29%. Soto is a former Army National Guard soldier and Washington, D.C. congressional staffer, but Russ Fulcher resoundingly wins a second term in the U.S. House. And now, moving over to the race in District 2. That was a race between Representative Mike Simpson, who was going for his 12th term, against Aaron Swisher, the Democrat. And Simpson did win a 12th term representing Idaho's 2nd Congressional District, which covers all of eastern Idaho and stretches into the Treasure Valley and part of Boise. Swisher is an economist from Boise, and he ran a good race, but 32% is what he ended up getting. He did take the votes in Ada County, right there with 54% of the vote. Coming up next in the next half hour, we'll hear from Representative Mike Simpson about what he plans to get to work on when he's back on Capitol Hill soon. Maggie.
Well, high voter turnout was seen all around the Gem State. In fact, it looked like it will be record-breaking. According to the Secretary of State's website, More than, 867,000 people voted out of the just over 1 million registered voters, which is just huge. That would make for a voter turnout of over 85%. However, we don't know how many more people registered yesterday at their polling places. That could lower that percentage. Now, the previous high was 76% in the 2008 race between Barack Obama and John McCain. It's no surprise that preparing for this kind of a turnout on an election day during a pandemic meant a lot more preparation and, of course, planning beforehand. But as expected, security and safety concerns were also on the rise. And our Katja Stepovic joins us now live with the latest on that aspect of all of this. Were there any problems?
There's no doubt about it that tensions run extremely high on Election Day, and arguably even today as we continue to wait to see a lot of those numbers still come through. And even though Idaho voter participation was good, some people were a little bit hesitant to head to polling locations because of a very interesting message some people received. After talking with Ada and Canyon counties, both say there were no concerning instances of voter intimidation or security issues on Tuesday, saying for the most part things went smoothly and voter turnout was record-breaking. Ada County Clerk Phil McGrain says considering the high volume of absentee ballots, Ada County got results much faster than they anticipated. But some Idahoans were forced to think twice about heading to their local polling location after getting a strange call. The suspicious robocalls came from a local area code and warned voters to, in quotes, stay home, stay safe on Election Day, urging them to stay away from in-person voting.
The Department of Homeland Security on a national basis identified this early in the day. In the initial DHS report that we received, it said that there had not been any reported instances in Idaho. Shortly thereafter, we did receive information from both through calls to our office and some things that we started seeing on social media, that there were some Idaho numbers that had been contacted.
The Secretary of State, Lawrence Denny, altered voters that the calls were not from any official office and should therefore be ignored. Chad Houck, Chief Deputy Secretary of State, says they were able to effectively monitor those polling locations, saying they were looking for things like power outages or even traffic issues in their local areas and letting them know if there was anything alarming going on and alerting those county clerks. Maggie.
All right. Thank you so much, Katya, for the update there on that. And right now, we're going to check in with Larry and take a look at our weather forecast, find out what he has coming our way.
Well, we're talking about some mild conditions for today overall. Actually, not bad for this morning, although it's a little bit on the cool side. Of course, it's at 41, but it's not down where we should be. Our normal overnight low will be down to 35. We're still 6 degrees above that and 47% for the humidity. You'll kind of notice that. And if there's any wind at all, those wind chill factors will feel quite cold to you. So make sure that you're prepared for that. But your Live Storm Tracker 7000 does show that everything is still dry and expected to stay that way. The radar you saw moving quickly is the Pendleton radar because there's a bit of moisture down around through the southern portion of Oregon, northern portion of Oregon, that is, in southern Washington. The rest of the moisture is staying up toward the north, so we will see some in northern Idaho. But again, it's that ridge of high pressure weakening, but it hasn't moved out yet. And in fact, it's going to take a little bit more effort to push it out of the way. What's happening is the low pressure is still continuing to form. Now, it'll have to close. This final loop has to close back in behind. Then it'll have enough energy to undercut the high pressure and it'll push through the area. A little bit of breezy, windy conditions. The difference now, though, is it's been delayed by almost a day. So about 24 hours of delay, but not quite that long. And you'll see that in your 7 First Alert Futurecast. Now, we're still going to have sunshine today, still mild temperatures into the upper 60s. Then we're going to be seeing even warmer temperatures into the low 70s in some valley locations for tomorrow. Going into Friday, we'll start to see more clouds, but then by Saturday morning, we'll start to see some showers. That could be overnight Friday night into Saturday, so not quite 24 hours. It's going to be less than that, but that system has been delayed. So for the forecast today, we're talking about sunny skies. Daytime highs are going to be upwards into the 60s and 70s. We're talking 10 to 15 degrees above normal again today. Central Mountains will also be above normal temperatures into the 60s. And for the West Central Mountains, we're going to have temperatures that'll be into the 60s as well, as much as 73 degrees at Riggins, and we'll be into the 60s as well for the lower Treasure Valley, putting us right in that mid-60 range Also, we're going to be in the mid-60s for the upper Treasure Valley, and that's 12 degrees above the normal daytime high of 55. Your 7 First Alert 7-day forecast, quite the contrast coming through. We're going to be 72 tomorrow. Friday still looks good. Now, Friday is the day that Boise State is going to be hosting BYU at Albertson Stadium. And now we've upgraded that one. We had been talking about showers, and temperatures in the 40s will now be 57 degrees. Kickoff time is Friday evening at 7:45, and we're going to be looking at northwest winds about 5 to 10 miles per hour, so definitely a much nicer game for much nicer conditions for the game itself. Look how cold it will be, though, going into Monday and Tuesday of next week. Check this out. Tom Kittle was out walking along the Big Wood River in the Ketchum area and shared this particular shot with us on the Idaho Weather Watchers Facebook group page.
That is beautiful. Thank you, Tim, for that. Isn't that pretty? Well, with the coronavirus pandemic constantly creating new obstacles and challenges in our everyday lives, this year it also had an impact on how we voted. And later this hour, we'll hear how it went from Ada and Canyon County election officials. Were there any issues? First, though, after the break, we'll go over some of the election results for races in Ada County and the measure to change the Idaho Constitution. That and more coming your way. Oh, welcome back. 6:17 now your time. We're going to take a look at some more of the local election results for you right now, starting with what's been a very tight race for Ada County Commissioner between Democrat Diana Laciando and Republican challenger Ryan Davidson. Davidson won that race with 51% of the vote in all precincts reporting. And then there's a look at the race for a seat, that's seat 15 in the Idaho State Senate. Democrats are unable to unseat incumbent Republican Fred Martin. Right now, all 16 precincts are reporting, leaving Martin with 53% of the vote. His challenger, Rick Just, with 47%. And an extremely close race of the Ada County Highway District Commissioner for Zone 2. Only 2 votes, 2, separate newcomer Alexis Pickering from incumbent Rebecca Arnold. That just goes to show you that every vote counts. Now, Ada County will hold a recount for this race because of just how close it is. And there was a constitutional amendment. It was called HJR on your ballot. The purpose is to permanently set the number of senators in the Idaho legislature, as well as the number of legislative districts in Idaho at 35. There have been 35 districts and senators since 1992. But the Idaho Constitution permits as few as 30 and as many as 35. So this measure sets that number at 35. And right now, it looks like that will be the case, with 68% of the vote in favor, 99% of the precincts reporting. We're going to have a lot more information on voter turnout coming your way in Ada County later this hour. Let's just say it was impressive. Right now, though, let's go to Doug.
Well, Maggie, this morning, President Trump is claiming victory and suggesting the race for president is over, but it's not. Later this morning, we'll verify when and how a race can be accurately called. First, we'll have Idaho's latest coronavirus numbers and your First Alert weather forecast when we come back.
From News Channel 7, time for 7 First Alert weather.
The country once again, because we're just not seeing very much out there. A lot of clear skies. In fact, the only real showers that we're seeing is here in the Pacific Northwest, and that's just because some of that moisture flow that has been deviated by the deviated around us, that is, by the high pressure, is still kind of moving through. But that has weakened, flattened that top of that ridge a bit. So we're seeing some showers that are moving through the northern section, a little bit through Washington and Oregon. Southern Idaho is still pretty dry, and we're going to be staying that way. In fact, we're expecting to stay that way even through the next couple of days. But it's going to change. The next system is coming in later. Not on Friday. It's coming in on Saturday. You can see we've got a lot of clear skies. This is Thursday. Now as we start to head into Friday, we'll still have just a few more clouds. We'll have more clouds coming through, but the showers don't really arrive here until we get to early Saturday morning. So some of that's going to be a Friday night to Saturday morning event, but it looks good through Friday, at least with just a few clouds. So for the forecast today in the Magic Valley, we're talking about temperatures. We'll be seeing warm temperatures, 10 to 15 degrees above normal. In fact, all regions will be that way. Sunny skies, everybody's going to be 10 to 15 degrees above normal, including the west central mountains, where we'll be as much as 73 at Riggins. Upper to mid 60s as well for the lower Treasure Valley, and right around that mid to upper 60s. 67 degrees, still a little bit warmer at Idaho City, though at higher elevation at 69. Your 7 First Alert 7-day forecast. Well, it does change on Saturday, big cool down. Then look how much colder it is going into Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah, 67, 72, 37.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Larry. Well, all morning long, we are following the election, and you can see those updates at the bottom of your screen. But we also have an important update for you about COVID-19 in Idaho. Idaho saw another record day when it comes to the numbers, with 1,165 new cases reported. That's probable and confirmed combined, and brings the total to more than 67,000 cases since the state started tracking. 11 new deaths have also been reported, bringing the toll to 649. The state's top hotspots include Ada, Canyon, and Twin Falls counties.
When can an election be officially called? Well, after the break, we're going to break down the facts from the three top organizations that actually call elections, and we're going to verify when results come out, too.
So I'm thankful that we have final results here in Idaho.
Plus, we'll take a look back on Election Day in Idaho. It was only yesterday. We're going to hear from Ada County Clerk on how and if their plans were executed successfully from Bill McGrain. Stay tuned for that. This morning, President Trump claiming victory in states yet to be called. Both candidates are predicting a win, but the election is very much still up in the air this morning. We do not have a clear winner. Several key states are outstanding when it comes to counting ballots. So when can a race be called? Our Verify team breaks that down for us and tells us what needs to happen first.
So let's verify what determines when a race can be called. Here are sources, the three big organizations that call elections: the Associated Press, Decision Desk HQ, and Edison Research. They all use a combination of things like historical election results, demographics, exit polls, nationwide surveys, voter registrations, voter files, and votes as they're reported to localities to make their projections. Here's what Drew McCoy, the president of Decision Desk HQ, told our researchers.
But what you're really looking for when you're calling an election is you're really calling a loser more than a winner.
Larry Rosen, the co-founder and president of Edison Research, agreed, saying they'll call a race when they determine that there is less than a 0.5% chance that the other candidate will catch up. The Associated Press told our team that they'll call a race when, quote, we conclude that the trailing candidate will not catch the leader. And just a reminder, these are projections. Many states will be counting ballots for days to come.
Coming up after the break, Joe Biden's campaign is responding to claims from President Trump, the legal action they say they are prepared to take. But first, with record voter turnout this year, along with the pandemic, we'll get an update on how the process went in Ada and Canyon counties. Stay tuned.
You're watching Idaho's News Channel 7. This is Wake Up Idaho.
This is a fraud on the American public. This is an embarrassment to our country. We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election.
This morning, both President Trump and Joe Biden are predicting a victory. This as votes are still being counted across the country. So right now, it really is a war of words between these candidates. We do not have a clear winner yet. Democrat Joe Biden is calling for patience as several battleground states continue to count votes. And as you just heard, the president has a very different message, demanding immediate results, even though it could take days to tally up all those votes. Right now, the candidates are neck and neck, with several swing states still hanging in the balance. So Doug's going to join us right now and explain how many electoral votes do Biden and Trump each have at this hour this morning.
Yeah, this has been holding steady for quite a while now, overnight and into this morning, Maggie, where the Electoral College, they need 270 votes to win the presidency. And right now, according to the Associated Press, Joe Biden has 238. President Trump has 213, and there are different scenarios for a victory for either man. First of all, let's start with the president's path to 270. Right now, Pennsylvania is leaning towards Trump. That's why it's in red on this map, but it is still one of the 7 states still in play, including Wisconsin, Michigan, North Carolina, Georgia, and Alaska, as well as Nevada at this time. So Pennsylvania, if you add that to the president's tally, that gets him up to 233. He won Michigan and Wisconsin back in 2016. So if he was able to turn the tide back in the red direction there, where it's leaning blue right now, that gets him to 259. He would still need North Carolina, say, to get over that 270 hump. Now, let's take a look at a possible pathway for the Democrat Joe Biden, who sits at 238. At this point, if he gets the states that are leaning blue, he does not need Pennsylvania at all, and those votes might not be counted in Pennsylvania until Friday. So if he gets Wisconsin, Michigan, And then just Nevada, which is also leaning blue. There's 270 votes right there. He wouldn't have to worry about either of the southern states at this time. And let's just take a quick look at how it went for the vote here in Idaho. President Trump won big, 64% to Biden's 33%. Maggie.
All right. Thank you, Doug, for all of those stats. And right now we're going to go ahead and check in on the weather, too. I know a lot of you wondering what the weather's going to be like today. Yesterday was a really sunny day, Larry. It was nice.
It was nice. And if you like that, you're going to like today. The difference is you don't have to stand in line at a polling place. But you can go outside because temperatures will be into the 60s again this afternoon. We hit 68 yesterday. That was actually within 4 degrees of the record high for yesterday's date, which was 72 from 1917. 41 is where we are right now for this morning. A lot of spots are very similar to what temperatures we had yesterday. We have a little bit of wind, but it has to be above 5 miles per hour before you're going to notice any wind chill factor. So it's just these three, Haley, Jerome, and Twin Falls. But even a little bit of wind will make you feel pretty cold out there because humidity levels are up over 60%. We do have a system coming in. We'll be at 67 today, so we're delaying this system. It's not going to be here now until Saturday. I have details about that in just a moment.
All right, Larry, thank you for that. Sunny and mild again. We will take it. Yesterday was pretty. Back to our election coverage now. Ada County saw a lot higher numbers for voter turnout. More than 262,000 ballots were cast. Compare that to 203,000, excuse me, we need more sleep around here, in the 2016 election. Also this year, more than 299,000 voters registered, and turnout was nearly 89%. That is impressive. Our Katya Stepovic joins us now with the latest on how this all went down for Ada County. Did they have any problems or issues?
It's the day after not only an election day, but an election day during a pandemic, and it turns out it was a lot more successful than many people had predicted. So after months of anticipating, planning, working at the Ada County Elections Office, people are feeling accomplished today. Even with so much uncertainty about the upcoming election day, Ada County Clerk Phil McGrain says it's the pre-planning and extra hours spent prepping that helped Ada County stay on track.
It's so important that we did all that work on the front end in terms of getting those absentees counted, working all last week to get them opened. That really saved us from taking days after the election to be done. And I think that's what we're seeing nationally is just this extra time waiting for those absentee ballots to be processed. So I'm thankful that we have final results here in Idaho.
McGrain says Ada County saw results much faster than they actually anticipated on Election Day, and that community turnout was impressive, saying that there were more votes cast than ever before. He says that the May primaries were a good test run, and Ada County was able to refine their processes and make upgrades to some of their procedures over the summer months. McGrain says that more than 50,000 people voted for the very first time. And, you know, I think if we can agree on one thing, it's just so great to see these people coming out for the very first time and voting.
It is. Engagement is so important when it comes to our elections and people taking that chance to exercise that right. Thank you so much for that. Another county that saw high numbers, Canyon County. Spokesperson there for Canyon County election tells us there were no real issues throughout the day, saying that 91,000 people there in total voted. That's a lot. That's a combination of in-person, absentee, and of course early voting. Now let's get to some more of our election results for Idaho. Doug is on the screen over there with more information for us. Looks like no major upsets.
Yeah, not on the federal stage, Maggie, that's for sure. And those races, they really weren't close contests in the end. Let's start in the U.S. Senate, where Republican Senator Jim Risch was reelected to his third 6-year term in the U.S. Senate. He defeated Democratic challenger Paulette Jordan. Risch won with 63% of the vote, Jordan getting 33%, and basically taking the counties of Teton, Blaine, and Latah, and Risch won everywhere else in the state. And Risch has been serving in the Senate since 2008, and he now adds another term on top of that. All right, let's moving over to the House in District 1 here in Idaho, the district that covers the left-hand side of the state. Republican representative incumbent Russ Fulcher won that seat again for a second term. He won with 68% of the vote over his challenger Rudy Soto from Nampa, who got 29% of the vote. Soto is a former Army National Guard soldier and Washington, D.C. staffer. And finally, let's take a look at the race in District 2 between longtime Congressman Mike Simpson, 64% of the vote, against Democrat Aaron Swisher, who took 32% of the vote. Swisher did win in Ada County here with 54% 54% of the vote, as well as in Blaine County, where he got 59% of the vote. But everywhere else in District 2 that covers all of eastern Idaho and comes into the Treasure Valley, Simpson definitely cleaned up in those areas on the way to a 64 to 32% victory. We caught up with Congressman Simpson after the race was called, and now that he's won again, we asked him where he's turning his focus once he's back on Capitol Hill.
Well, in my role on the Appropriations Committee, we need to get our appropriations done. We didn't get them done by October 1st, as we're supposed to do, but haven't done since 1994. So we do a continuing resolution to allow government to operate at the same level they did last year, which is not a good way to operate a railroad. So we did a continuing resolution until December 11th. That'll run out then. If we don't do our appropriations, we'll either have to do another continuing resolution or the government will shut down. I don't expect that to happen because I don't think it's either party believes it's in their best interest to shut the government down. But we need to get to work finishing our appropriation bills and get as many of them done by that December 11th date as we can. So we'll be very busy over the next 3 weeks when we get back there.
And Congressman Simpson has been serving that district since 1999. Again, he won his 12th term last night, Maggie.
All right, now more of your top stories in 90 seconds, and we begin with this. While Americans don't know who's won the presidential election just yet, we're still waiting. Several key Senate and House races have, in fact, been called. Republican Mitch McConnell, he's won his re-election bid in Kentucky. He defeated Democratic nominee Amy McGrath. She was a former Marine fighter pilot. This will be McConnell's 7th term in the U.S. Senate. And Democrats will maintain control of the U.S. House of Representatives. 218 seats are needed for control, and Democrats are projected to claim about 230 seats. Now, during the 2020 race, Democrats largely focused their campaigns on protecting the Affordable Care Act and efforts to combat coronavirus. Republicans focused mainly on the economy. From our area, Russ Fulcher and Mike Simpson, that Doug just mentioned, they are both Republicans. They won their re-election races. And Twitter is flagging this early morning tweet from the president. Millions of legitimate votes are still yet to be counted, but President Trump is claiming an effort to steal the election. Twitter quickly labeled that tweet as disputed and might be misleading. And Democrat Joe Biden's campaign says it will fight any efforts by the Trump campaign to go to the U.S. Supreme Court to prevent ballots from being tabulated and counted. Biden's campaign manager says they have, quote, legal teams on standby. They're ready to deploy to resist that effort if it happens, and that they will prevail. So we'll just have to see how this all shakes out, Larry. Let's get to you and check in on the forecast.
Sure, we're taking a look at the traffic cameras. You can see the traffic is moving along rather well. We're also looking at mild conditions outside. We will have just a couple of high clouds out there. Might just make for a very pretty sunrise for this morning a little bit. Now, the sunrise itself is at about 7:28 this morning, but we're going to start to see a little color in there even by a little after 7 o'clock. 41 degrees is what we're talking about for our temperatures right now. We're at 47%, and of course, the pressure is holding steady. In addition to that, Live Storm Tracker 7000 again, not showing us very much. There's a little bit. We might even see the Pendleton radar go by a little bit quicker because up around the areas of northern Oregon, southern Washington, there's a few showers, but that's because Washington State itself has got a few showers. This is all part of that same moisture flow. The difference is today that high pressure did flatten a little bit, but strengthened at the same time. So now it's causing that low pressure to stall a little bit offshore. Now, sometimes that happens, and when it does, it means that the rest of this low pressure that is forming here is going to have to continue wrapping around to pick up a little bit more energy, just enough strength to undercut the high pressure and move through, and that will happen. But it's been delayed by almost a day. So as we look ahead to our 7 First Alert Futurecast, our computer model, this is where you'll see that what will happen is we're going to still see lots of sunshine, still warm temperatures, in fact, close to record high temperatures, both today and tomorrow, Thursday. Into Friday, we start to cool a little bit, but we will not see showers. We're going to start to see the showers on Saturday. Instead, that's where we're going to start to pick up some of that moisture. Some of the higher elevations will see some snow because it's going to be cooling down with that as well. All right, forecast for today, still warm temperatures in the Magic Valley. Daytime highs, sunny. We're going to be 10 to 15 degrees above normal today. Most areas, in fact, will be about 10 to 15 degrees above normal, staying in the mid-60s for the Central Mountains. In addition to that, we're going to be looking at the West Central Mountains with temperatures in the 60s, 73 at Riggins, and temperatures in the 60s as well for the area, right around that mid-60 range, a little bit higher at Weiser, and we're going to be 70 up into the 60s for the areas around the Upper Treasure Valley, close to 70s, what I was trying to say for Idaho City, because they'll be at 60. 69. It's still a little bit of mild inversion temperatures based on this high pressure. Your 7 First Alert 7-day forecast. There's your delay. We had been talking all week about showers on Friday. Now it's going to be partly cloudy to maybe mostly cloudy skies as the day goes on. Then overnight, we're going to start to see some showers into Saturday. There'll be rain because it stays warm enough. Then that rain and snow will start to mix together, and then much colder temperatures as we go into next week. Daytime highs, in fact, will be less than what we have had for overnight lows. We'll be just into the 30s. All right, check this out. Tammy Lee says sometimes when it's cool in the morning and the Snake River is still warmer than the outside air, there's some really interesting looks at some fog. And so she shared that with us on the Idaho Weather Watchers Facebook page. Thank you, Tammy.
That's so pretty, Larry. Tell us what's coming up, and where's Larry today? What are you working on for us?
Rally for Tally. This is an event that has happened every year because Tally was an employee of Idaho Pizza Company. And they are continuing the effort, even though Tally is no longer with us as of last December, but the effort goes on for ALS patients. Details coming up, and where's Larry? Welcome back. The Rally for Tally is an event that's been going on for several years since Tally, an employee of Idaho Pizza Company, contracted ALS, the Lou Gehrig's disease. Well, Tally passed away in December, but the effort still goes on by Idaho Pizza Company to raise funds and help muscular dystrophy help the patients who are dealing with ALS. Check this out. It's an annual event that's going to be done in very similar fashion to what it's been before. It's the annual Rally for Tally, a fundraiser for families and individuals who are dealing with ALS through the Muscular Dystrophy Association. April Gannett joins us to talk a little bit about that. Tally is no longer with us, but boy, I tell you what, this really has become a very important fundraiser.
Yes, it has. So the Idaho Pizza Company has partnered with MD the last 3 years to support ALS families and to fund ALS research. They've been choosing a day each year on Tal's birthday weekend, which this weekend it'll fall on November 7th, where they give back 20% of their sales to MDA. So we're very thankful for their support.
And actually, there's stuff that's going on right now, too. They're actually selling things ahead of time that will also be part of the fundraiser.
Yes, that's true. So they're actually offering the community to also rally for Tally. When you order a pizza from Idaho Pizza Company, you can add $1 more donation to your order to help support ALS families.
And it really is a very important thing. Now, if you missed any of those details, times or anything, just all you have to do is check it out online. Go to Where's Larry, KTVB.com. You know, and that add-on could be $1, $5, $10, as much as you would like to give to help, because it really does do those two things, help families and those individuals, but also for research, hopefully for a cure one day for ALS.
Wouldn't that be fantastic to see? Wow. All right. Thank you so much, Larry. Well, 2020 has been a long year. Many are finding it hard to get into the holiday spirit. After the break, we're going to tell you what's making it a little bit easier now that Halloween's over. And there's only one thing to get this cutie into the Christmas spirit: nuts. Thank you for sharing this in our picture of the day. This is from Lynn Sewall Rose. We appreciate that on the Idaho Weather Watchers Facebook page. You can share your pictures there too, or send them to us, 208-321-5614. Text them our way.
From News Channel 7, time for 7 First Alert weather.
Welcome back. Unseasonably warm temperatures today and again for tomorrow. In fact, we're going to be seeing sunshine all the way through. We do have just a few high clouds. I just want to warn the photographers out there. I think it's going to be a beautiful sunrise in just a little bit. Those are all high clouds, so we should get some nice colors off of that for this morning. Grab your cameras, head outside, take a coat. It's 41 degrees, 47% for the humidity, and the pressure is holding steady. Also, we're going to be looking at a high today of 67 degrees. Now, that's close to yesterday at 68. We were close to a record high. Tomorrow will be even closer at 72, but then things do cool down. But get this, we're going to delay this system. It's not coming in on Friday. It's coming in on Saturday. That's good news. Boise State, BYU at Albertson Stadium. Game a lot of folks have been looking forward to now with better conditions. 57 degrees. Of course, there's no fans in the stadium, but it still has an impact on the game. Pretty mild conditions. Kickoff time, 7:45.
Ooh, and that's exciting. We've also heard there's a possibility there will be some parents and maybe some fans in the stadium.
Really?
This Friday, yes. J-Test tweeted that last night. There is a possibility of that. It would be limited to 1,100 in the entire stadium. So we'll keep you posted what we find out about that.
It's going to be nice anyway.
Yes. Well, time to see what is brewing this morning. 'Tis the season. Bluebell decking the halls. extra early with a really fun ice cream flavor this year. The company releasing its Christmas cookie ice cream. Listen to this. It's chocolate chip, snickerdoodle, and sugar all combined together with sprinkles and icing.
Wow. Okay.
Oh,
How
it
to
sounds
make ice
good.
cream more fattening.
Yeah, they also have peppermint for the traditional holiday
Okay.
ice cream, but that does sound like fun. Something the kids might really like.
Just eat a whole pint.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
then never
not
fall
good.
asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, well, it turns out getting into the holiday spirit is just what we need to end 2020 on a high note. In fact, there's one thing people are expected to do to lift their spirits this year: buy a real Christmas tree instead of going with the artificial one. Experts predict there will be a 30% increase in the number of people buying real trees this year. There's so much social distancing and everything going on. It's good for the family to go out and get a tree.
Might be,
Chop down
yeah.
your own tree.
You know,
Yeah,
decorate
go into the
together as a
forest.
family, sure, why not?
Yes.
Well, if you're not in the decorating spirit just yet, well, you can take a virtual tour of a house that is. Sam's Club is introducing a virtual tour of the Griswold house, made famous by National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Wow.
Great movie. And get this, Cousin Eddie, here's his famous phrase. No, not that one. It's you can pick out something real nice, Clark. Because Sam's Club will have the same gifts, toys, food, and even more as it was presented in the house during that. There was a lot of little
see.
things that were part of
Yes.
that, so they're going to have all that cool stuff. Yeah.
You can buy the things you like that you see there. We also want to mention Light FM is starting an all Christmas format this morning at 7 o'clock to bring joy and cheer to
Already?
you if you need that.
Wow.
A final check-in with the presidential election and weather next. But first, let's take a look at the number you can text for your kids' school lunch menus. Just text lunch to 208-321-5614. Okay, traffic. Let's take a look out there, see how it's looking. It is busy there at I-84 and 10 Mile. Meridian's moving well, so is Cloverdale and Vista. And let's get to Larry check-in on today. More sunshine, Larry.
Yep, more sunshine. Actually, it looks like it's going to be shaping up to be a pretty nice little sunrise for this morning. We are talking about temperatures, though, that are cooling down a little bit. We're at 40 degrees. We had been at 42 down to 41, now at 40, 53% for the humidity. Now, sunrise isn't actually until 7:27 this morning, so it could cool a little bit more. 67 degrees for your daytime high. Clear skies are still expected for tonight. And then we're going to be looking at that next system being delayed. It's coming in almost 24 hours later. So in other words, not on Friday now. Looks like it's coming through on Saturday. That's when we're going to see the showers and get a little rain snow mix possible into Sunday, but definitely a big cool down because we're going to go from a high of 72 to 37 on Monday, half as warm of temperatures.
Well, stay tuned for more coverage on the presidential election. We will have results running at the bottom of your screen. Let's do a final check, though, with where both presidential candidates stand right now. We still don't have a clear winner, Doug, but how many electoral votes do Biden and Trump each have at this hour?
According to the Associated Press, Maggie, this is where it stands, with former Vice President Joe Biden holding 238 electoral votes to President Trump's 213. At this point, Biden has about a 2.3 million vote advantage in the popular vote. But as far as the Electoral College, it's 238 to 213, according to the Associated Press. Several states, though, still in play, including Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Nevada, and Alaska. There are many scenarios that will take each of the candidates to 270 votes, depending on which way those states end up being called. Here in Idaho, the vote was very decidedly to President Trump, as expected. 64% to Trump, 33% to Joe Biden. And Joe only won 3 counties here: Teton, Blaine, and Latah County. In Ada County, President Trump won 50% to 46%. So that's how it played out here, Maggie.
And Doug, tell us how many people voted in Idaho, because that is just impressive.
Yeah, it was 867,222. 867,000. And as of a couple days ago, there were only 1,010,000 people registered. So that would put the voter turnout about 85% or so. Amazing.
A lot of people
New record.
engaging. All right, thanks, Doug. More news right back here in a half hour.